What if I told you that the secret to unlocking your creative potential, your realizing your writing dream, that it isn't about grand gestures. It isn't about publishing. It isn't about getting an agent. It isn't about whether anyone likes your work or is drawn to it, but instead is a quiet and consistent commitment. Imagine transforming what feels like a chore into a sacred ritual. This is the power of a practice of devotion. Devotion is a powerful path that helps you achieve whatever it is you desire. And in the case of writing or painting or pottery or playing an instrument or creating whatever it is you hope to create, it is your devotion, your practice that brings this dream into reality. It isn't so much about grinding away, which you may equate with practice, but about embracing the act as something sacred, as something that is sacred and part of your daily life. And in this video, I want to talk about how this consistent, simple effort isn't just productive, it's transformative. It's a transformative act that will unlock your creativity, your imagination, your energy by connecting you daily to your source, to the flow, to the inexhaustible, abundant creation that you are. Now look, I understand that there is dread in beginning to write, that getting to the page and breaking the silence can be difficult. I get how difficult it is because I have felt the whole world stacked against me to write. In fact, I have felt that I have been even against myself, and that has kept me from writing. We have commitments, we have jobs, we have families, we have responsibilities. And then we have our own inner resistance and even a very hostile and negative critic that is telling us that it's no use to write, that we aren't good enough, that we're not writers, that we aren't meant to be writers, that we have other important things to do. I have lived that way against myself for so many years. And I remember there was just one day I was done with it. I really couldn't take it anymore, this living against myself. And that's really what it felt like a war with myself all the time. That all I could think about, not all I could think about, but I thought about every day writing, and I didn't write. All I wanted to do was write, and I thought if I just had more time or more money or fewer responsibilities, or I didn't have this business to run, that I would write. I had so many stories that I wanted to tell. I felt inspired, and yet when I had time to write, I often didn't. I would just come up with another excuse for not writing, that I was too tired, that I had some other things to do, that I needed to go to work. Whatever it was, I had to spend time with my kids. I was working against myself. I knew that I wanted to write, but I wrote only occasionally. And I felt terrible about this. And this cycle went on for years. I even got an MFA, a Master of Fine Arts degree in creative writing along the way. And yet I still wasn't writing. I wasn't living congruent I wasn't living in a way that felt congruous with how I felt and how I wanted to live. But I didn't really see, I just thought if I was meant to be writing, I would be writing, as if there would be no other way to live. What I didn't understand, and it took the help of a great friend and a teacher, was that my practice, a devotion, was what I was missing. And so one day when I was working, I remember I was standing in this field and I thought, I can't do this anymore. And I called up this friend, this teacher, and I was having this conversation with him for about 20 minutes. And he finally said to me, I want you to write. I want you to write every day. And if you cannot, then I would like you to give up writing, because it's a fantasy that you have. It's just it's a fantasy that you want to write, and it's making you suffer. And I don't want to see you suffer anymore. So see if you can write every day. This was his challenge. And the other thing he said was, if you try to write every day, you're going to discover how important or unimportant it is to you and to your life. And so I think partly to prove my friend wrong, or really to prove that I could do it, and to prove it to myself, I did start to write. And I started writing every day. And I wrote, I think I made the promise to him. I think he asked me to promise to try to do it for 3 months straight. And I did that. Before I even got to the end of the 3 months, my practice was beginning to be ingrained in me. It was becoming a habit. And so when I reached 3 months, I just kept going, because why stop? I felt like I had never felt in my life. I felt like this secret power had been revealed to me, that bestowing begets bestowal, that giving, creating begets more creation. And I entered into that flow. And as I went on in my daily practice, I could enter that flow more easily, more readily, that I would always show up to the page and then have something to say. So the practice develops this kind of sacred rhythm with creation itself. And what I found is I no longer worried about what I would write when I got to the page. Just writing was happening. It wasn't always good. It wasn't always something I cared to share with anyone, or that I would ever share with anybody. But I felt inside of me this liberation, this exhilaration that I'd never felt before, except maybe in some fleeting instances while traveling, when I felt this aliveness and this connection with the world, that coincidences and things were magical. These magical occurrences were happening. But like I said, these were fleeting. But with the practice, with the dailiness, I was encountering this magical coincidences of life almost daily, just by showing up and doing the work that I know that I wanted to be doing. My life changed. It changed from that first day that I started my devotion. Now, I didn't know it, of course, at that time on that first day, but it wasn't long. It was within a few weeks of writing daily that I recognized that my life was changing. And what's strangest of all is that nothing in my outside world changed. Not even remotely. I still had my family, I still had my responsibilities, I still had my business. The difference was, and the only difference was, that I was writing. And this practice, this daily communion with myself, with creation, was changing me, and it was changing my life. And the inner conflict that I had felt, that war, started to dissipate. And my resistance to beginning, to writing, was lessening each day. And the voice of that inner critic in me was losing its authority bit by bit. Moreover, writing and the act of it no longer felt like this precious thing. It was still sacred, but it was no longer fraught with pressure to make something lasting or important or good, or even something that other people would like or want to read. What mattered was the writing itself, the practice itself, the devotion, and the joy and the gift that I was getting from this. Because I was realizing that this gift was greater than any praise, any product that I could come up with, or any award that I could get. Meaning, those things are great when you get them, but they're fleeting. But the gift that lasts is from the practice itself, that fulfillment of communing with oneself and feeling oneself as a creative power, one's creative abundance. Now, it just so happens that I did realize my dream of publication, and it felt incredible to have a book. And it felt incredible to have a second book. But far greater than those gifts of the publication was that the daily living with writing. I was fulfilled not by the book, but by the practice, by the devotion. Because in devotion, I was finally living as I wanted to live, as I had always desired to live. My life now included my sacred action within it, which was writing. Aside from this, what one gets from practice is that your writing gets better. My writing improved. I learned to write and discovered what I needed to write by writing. The repetition of coming to the page, of practicing, honed my skills, honed so many different writing skills, not just my use of language, my maybe use of metaphor, but my ability to listen and to observe and to focus and to stay and to sit and to stay and pay attention to the ideas that were just emerging, the things that were simmering, not just that day, but that I had been living with for days, for many months. These things stay alive in you, and they are kept alive by your practice. I realized I am in this for the long term, and I think that's what you are in this for the long term. Your desire to write isn't the desire, I don't think, I may be making an assumption, but it's not just the desire to write one story, one poem, but the desire to invest yourself in writing so completely and to live creatively as a writer, as a person who is writing. Devotion, the practice, it will deepen you. It will take you beyond anything that the gift of it, I should say, will take you beyond anything that you could produce. Your devotion grows you, and this is the gift beyond all gifts. Your devoted practice is your path. All writers and artists who are successful, they know this. And by success, I mean that they continue to work. Not that they become famous, but that all successful artists and writers realize that is the doing that is the joy. It is the doing, the practice, the devotion that shapes your life, that crafts your life, and that is the true and lasting reward. And that is the energy that becomes the sustaining energy. Regardless of what happens, regardless of what anything that you make does in the world, the reward, what sustains you is this connection with your devotion. What you connect with, what you commune with in your practice, the sacredness of your dailiness, the dailiness of your making is what is sustaining. So begin it today, begin writing today, begin making whatever it is you want to make today. I can't stress the importance of this enough. I cannot impart to you the magic that will happen if you do this. You have to find that out for yourself. I could tell you, you wouldn't believe me, but you can discover it for yourself, and that will be a powerful transformation. So write today, and write tomorrow, and then write the next day, and write for this whole week, and then keep going. It doesn't matter how long you write when you sit, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. Time doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many pages you write when you sit. That's irrelevant. What is important is that you do write, that you come, that you turn everything else off, that you don't pay attention to your cell phone, that you're not scrolling your news feed, that you're not answering the phone, that you're not doing emails, but that you are being present with your creative energy, with what is in you, that you are present and attentive to that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however much time you have. Again, the time is irrelevant. How many pages you write is irrelevant, but that you write, that you are attentive is important. So challenge yourself to write for a week, for a month, for 3 months. And once you establish this practice, once you establish your sacred habit, it will be hard to break that. Even if you fall out of it for a day or two, even if something happens, you go on vacation and you don't write much on vacation, when you come back, it'll be much easier to get back into your practice than it was before you had your practice. It is much harder to break your practice once you've established it. If writing is important to you, then don't make any more excuses. Write. This is what my teacher made me do, and it changed my life, and your devotion will absolutely change yours. Now, here are some of the benefits too, because I talked about that earlier. What are the benefits of a daily writing practice? One, it just gets easier. The writing gets easier. It's still difficult. Writing is not easy, but it gets easier. It's a law of physics that objects resist change in their state. An object in motion tends to stay in motion, and an object at rest will stay at rest. But once we get ourselves into motion, we can stay in motion. This is the practice. Practice is staying in motion. We have a ritual. We have a habit of getting to the page. For me, it helps to get there at the same time every day. That's just my time. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. It's when I get up. It's my time. I go to work on the page. Second, another benefit, you drop into the zone or the flow of writing more readily when you have a practice. It's there. It's like exercising. You're limber. You're flexible. Your mind, your body are accustomed to the activity of writing, of creating. And so you just get into that flow. You enter into that zone more easily than when you're not writing or when you're writing sporadically. Another thing is you're communing with another part of your nature. You're exercising this way of engaging, of communicating, of being, of seeing with this part of yourself that we don't carry around in the rest of the world. This is the creativity. It's our creativeness. It's really what we are at essence. You carry this, you commune with this other part of your nature when you're at the page. And what begins to happen is when you get up from the page, you bring this with you, this flexibility, this way of seeing things, this way of solving problems, this way of making connections, this way of being spontaneous, of trusting, of caring. You carry this beyond the page to your life. You start to walk around with this. Your life starts to be a creative act. And you are the maker, and you are the author, and you are the author of your own joy and your own beauty. Just as on the page, you are the author of the beauty that you put there, of the magic that you make happen, of the connections that you make out of nothing, that you fashion out of your own being. So these are just a few of the benefits. I could go on. Your own devotion, your own practice will reveal so many others. It's just difficult to talk about them, but trust me, that devotion itself is the reward, that your practice is the reward beyond what you can possibly imagine. So start today, start writing, and write tomorrow. And to get you writing today, here's a prompt. I want you to write about how you feel about practice when you hear practice, when you hear the word. What comes up for you when you hear that? Or when you're asked to practice. Write about this. It might help you see if you have a resistance about practicing, about even the word. You might have some block that is keeping you from establishing a writing habit that you don't even know. But the writing, if you write this prompt, it might reveal something. Or you might realize that you actually really enjoy the idea of practice and the act of practicing. Secondly, take this prompt a step further. Do the same with the word devotion. How do you respond to the word devotion? Do you have a positive or a negative feeling about it? Maybe you don't. Maybe it's neutral. But does devotion conjure anything for you? Or what does it conjure for you? Does it inspire you in any way, or does it cause in you some form of resistance? Can you sense that, and can you write about that? As always, I would love to hear what you write about from these prompts, or anything you care to share with me. You can please feel free to share it in the comments here to this video, or you can always leave me a message or a comment through devotiontowriting.com. You can contact me there if you would like to write to me in private about and share with me. Or if you just have a question, that's devotiontowriting.com. And also at that website, you can find out about my upcoming in-person workshops and Zoom workshops. I do have another Zoom workshop starting in September on the 17th. It's a Wednesday evening. They'll go from 7 to 8:30 in the evening for 5 weeks. And you can register at devotiontowriting.com. And these workshops are specifically designed to get you writing, to keep you coming back to the page daily. I give you prompts in class, and then I give you prompts to write on through the week. So you don't even have to think about what you write. It just gets you to the page, helps you get in to establish your practice. So please know I'm here to help you to write daily. The practice is going to reward you. You will realize the benefits of a consistent creative practice when you are doing it. I can't emphasize enough how devotion will change your life. Show up for yourself. Show up for your biggest creative life. Take a small step. Make one tiny gesture, and that is to write each day, no matter how little. Write each day. This is how you build your practice. You can do it. Regardless of all you may have going in your life, you can do it. If I could do it, so can you. I thank you for watching. I hope you write deeply today. I hope you write freely and without that critic. I know that if you do write, you will write beautifully, because beautiful is what you are. Blessings.